What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to the Daily Draft. I am your host and the publisher of Packer Report, Ross Uglem. We are brought to you, as always, by Brewski Light Beer. Light lager from Badger State Brewing, the greatest can in all of Wisconsin. And today we are talking about safety nickel hybrid Sebastian Castro from the University of Iowa, a place certainly where the Packers have gone to for talent before. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to break down on the pro side. He's an unbelievably physical player. Exactly what you want in a scheme where your nickel has to defend the run. That is something that Green Bay requires of their nickels, especially now that their defensive ends in the four down scheme are more spill players than they are contained players. At nickel's got to be able to defend the run, and Sebastian Castro can do that. I think he could play nickel at the NFL level. Many are evaluating him, though, as a safety. He is a capable and effective blitzer when called upon. I like the way that he rushes the passer. He takes smart angles to the quarterback, and I think there's a lack of blow-bys. That's the most annoying thing to me when you do blitz a defensive back and they just keep on going. He does a good job of breaking down at the level of the quarterback and actually affecting the play. Doesn't always end in a sack. It's not like he was rushing the passer on every down, but he's good when he does it. He was one of PFF's highest graded defenders in the country in 2023. Of course, he was playing alongside Cooper DeJean, but Castro was just one of the play-to-play highest graded defensive players in FBS football period in 2023. That year's film is really, really good. Super fun to watch, especially if you're into this like Brian Branch, Cooper DeJean, like interior defender. Something that obviously has frustrated me greatly with the Packers. If you like watching how slot cornerbacks operate, defending a two-way go, defending the run, being able to blitz, really being able to defend, anything from a jitterbug slot receiver to a physical tight end that flexes out. Castro's 2023 film was a super, super fun watch. Production is quite excellent. Ball production is quite excellent. He's got seven forced fumbles, 13 pass breakups, and 4 picks. Just 3 penalties, though. 2,100 plus snaps in Iowa's defense over his time there, and he plays physically without a penalty. Like I said, just 3 penalties. He's got fluid hips, quick feet, just not super bursty. I also don't know where the top end speed is going to track up, but we'll get to that when we talk maybe about the cons. I think versatility is both on film and projected. A lot of what he does well could work at safety, but you've seen him do it at the slot cornerback position at a very high level, in a very high level defense in Iowa that just produced, a defensive rookie of the year candidate and Super Bowl hero in Cooper DeJean. Guys, buy the draft guide. Buy the Green Bay draft guide powered by Pack Report. Promo code DAILY gets you $1 off. It's going to be the best draft guide that you see for the Packers this offseason. I mean, buy them all. Jacob Morley tweeted that today. Like, buy the Cheesehead guide. We love those guys. Buy all the draft guides. But we're really, really proud of ours. And I wouldn't call it the best if I didn't think it was the best. And that is not to dump on anybody else's guide. That is just to tell you the pride and the effort that's put into this one, and the people that I trust that helped me put this thing together. I trust tremendously. And I think it's going to be an awesome way to kind of narrow down what Green Bay is looking at. I think people that bought the guide last year were thrilled, and buy the guide. Cons: tackling, not great for a player who is as physical as he is when he plays run defense, when he's taking on blocks, when he's sifting through traffic, when he's even in coverage, he's pretty physical without getting a penalty. But the missed tackle rate is too high for a guy that I have such a high opinion of, in the physical way that he plays football. I don't think a lot of his. I think it's a little bit of in contrast to the way he rushes the passer. It's sometimes a little bit of being out of control. He's not soft. He's not a soft football player. He doesn't miss tackles because he's soft. It's almost a little bit too sped up, and that's what I see when I see Castro and when I see the missed tackle rate where it is. You don't love it, but I think that's sort of the explanation. If he can kind of slow down, hit what he sees, he should be all right. Considering, like I said, it's not an attitude thing. He's not soft. He's certainly a tough physical football player. I don't think he profiles as an elite athlete on film. We'll see in Indy. We'll see what he runs. I think part of him being kind of quote unquote stuck on the inside is going to have to do with his probably 50th, 60th, 70th percent athleticism, not reaching into that 80th, 90th percentile, that 8 RAS score, that 9 RAS score. I'll be interested to see where Castro nets out, and then kind of play around with what the Packers have at least thought about with their interior defenders, their slot guys. Maybe they fudge a little bit, but they probably also, and we'll talk about that. We talk about fit. I mean, they probably think they just drafted their slot corner in Javon Bullard, especially with how good Evan Williams has been as a true safety. I think they probably think they have a slot guy in Javon. He might have to move to safety if he gets out athleted, and that takes away kind of some of the versatility piece, right? And then is he a first or a second round safety prospect? I don't know. Certainly not first round, but that, if he's safety only, I think he probably would have more of a third round grade for me. Obviously, I don't believe that, and that's reflected in his grade, but I don't think it's completely out of the question. And I definitely think he shouldn't be a nickel in a man heavy scheme. I think he's got to kind of see it in front of him. I don't think you want him covering those shiftier receivers out of the slot, like your Tank Dells and your anybody that's like 5'10", 180, and like I wouldn't want to see him covering Jaden Reed. I don't think that would go very well for him. I wouldn't want him seeing Christian Watson on a two-way go if Green Bay goes big slot. So if you're going to play a lot of zone, I think he's a really, really, really good football player. Most of the NFL does play zone. Even Green Bay, who people were convinced were going to play a ton of man looks, actually play a ton of zone. And so I don't think that's a huge deal, but I don't see him as an inside man defender. I think he'll get beat on two-way goes. I think he'll get beat on option routes. I think he'll get beat on the slot fade. That's stuff that I don't love, seeing, but a ton of pros, obviously, we wouldn't have talked about it. Guys, this is the Daily Draft on Packer Report TV, and the countdown to the 2025 NFL Draft is on. There's no better place to celebrate this April than Badger State Brewing, just a short Lambeau leap away from the draft action. Packers fit for Sebastian Castro. If they play as much zone as they did last year, I think he's a no-brainer as their starting nickel. I think he'd be an upgrade over whatever they have going on right there. I don't care if you put Javon Bullard as a dime, you move him to backup safety. I don't know what. I don't think he would win a straight-up contest between he and Sebastian Castro to be their nickel unless they move Keyshawn back inside, and then, I don't know, they're kind of blind to that, I think. But if they're not going to have Jerry Alexander, I think Keyshawn's going to end up starting outside, which, again, not great, but what are you going to do? It seems to be what they're kind of up to. Obviously, they've done plenty of Iowa guys, right? Brian Bulaga, Mike Daniels, Micah Hyde. They're very fine with Iowa guys. They don't need another safety, though, so they'd have to be bought into him as a nickel. That's my ultimate thing on his fit, or lack thereof, is he's a nickel for Green Bay because you got Evan Williams. I think, they played some Catano Ladapo against the Bears. I think they're certainly not ready to give up on that. You like what you have in Evan Williams. You obviously love what you have in Xavier McKinney. I don't think they're in the business of spending another top 100 pick on a safety. I'd be really, really surprised like that. Overall, he's got a solid round 2 grade for me. Lots of guys have those, though. So even though he's got a solid round 2 grade, he is only my 62nd overall player. I have a lot of guys in that round 2. I'm struggling to get to even close to 30 round 1 grades. I'm going to probably end up closer to 20. But boy, if Green Bay could trade down, there's a ton of guys that I really like as long-term starters with a little bit of upside. And I think Sebastian Castro is that. I think he is a 10-year starting nickel. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Buy the draft guide. Drink Badger State. Watch the Pack-A-Day podcast YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your week. Go Pack, go.